The heat got to me.
Huh?
The heat got to me. Oh, yep. Once he gets it going, you let me know. All right, we're gonna get started here. I know Nate has another meeting to get to at 7 o'clock, but I definitely wanted to give Nate the floor. So Nate is the NSAA director of all officials. Just so you guys are aware of this, it's not just football, not just track and field, but all sports officials. So I'm going to give him the floor. This picture I found is sort of what he's been doing during the offseason. Unlike myself sitting at home doing absolutely nothing the past 3 weeks, he's been going around the whole entire state. So he's going to talk about some initiatives, talk about respect the ref, which is what I believe he's doing in this picture, talk about what he's done and what other officials have been doing around the state, and then talk about NSA observers, which will take us right into the NSAA observation form. All right, so Nate, come on down. I'll give you this microphone so you're mic'd up. And the floor is yours.
All right.
Yeah.
Easy. That'll probably turn to booze by the end of this. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here for about 15, 20 minutes just to talk about what's going on at the NSAA. And as we're gearing up for another season, hard to believe that it's time, but it is time. It's game time, game day, whatever you want to call it. I fought it for the longest time, but I guess summer is officially over. So let's get the football season started. Did anybody work in week 0? Work last week? Good. Good. Well, again, let me talk then with NSA initiatives. So you've probably noticed there's been a few changes with regards to the registration process. I think we wanted to find a way to remove as many obstacles as we could from a new official or veteran official. So any first-year officials in the room? Right. So your registration was $10, right? And then we wanted to find a way to retain those officials. We're seeing more and more that we're losing officials within the first 3 years. Sometimes that first year, you're just trying to figure it out. So year 2 is still 25. Years 3 through 24, it's 50. And then from 25 and beyond, we drop that back down to 25. So we're trying to encourage new officials and reward veteran officials as well. So hopefully that's a step in the right direction to help with that process. You'll notice that I removed that obscure $25 semi-late fee to the rules meeting. That seemed kind of odd to me over the years. We opened it on July 24th, and it's free, and it's free, and it's free for as long as we can be. The late fees are there to get things done by deadline so that we can get the rosters posted. But I got rid of that weird middle $25 fee. So hopefully that's not an obstacle. Again, we're trying to find ways to recruit, and really our focus is more on retention of officials than it is recruiting. I hear that a lot from different individuals. Well, what are you doing to recruit? That shouldn't even be a question, in my opinion. If those of you that are officiating and enjoying it, and it's something that you want to bring people into the fold with you, recruiting's easy. You know, when I was coaching football at the college level and we recruited, our best recruiters were our athletes because they loved the program. They bought into the program. They were invested. Well, if our officials are invested, and if you can go out to the next generation of officials and say, you got to do this. This is awesome. You get treated well. Don't worry about the money. It's not about the money. We're doing this because it's fun. My fear is that that's hard to say right now sometimes, isn't it? So we need to focus more on how do we retain and appreciate and respect the officials we do have. The recruiting part of it will take care of itself. So that leads into a little bit the respect the ref. I've been out 4 or 5 times already this year. I'm going to Amherst on Friday. I'm going to Boone Central and Papio South next week with about a 35 to 40-minute presentation about sportsmanship, specifically with regards to officials. And why are our numbers diminishing? And sometimes until you make people aware of the situation, they don't understand what we're going through. They really don't. They think that as long as we go to a volleyball match or a football match or a basketball game and officials show up, what's the problem? We got officials. My fear is if we don't do something about it now, it's going to be a rock bottom moment when there are no officials, or I even have stats in this presentation that proves a third of the officials that responded to our survey said there are certain schools they will not work. So if that's where it's going to start, a school has to say, sorry, no basketball game tonight, we couldn't find officials. Then that community might change. I don't want to get to that point, right? So we just need to create this awareness of what we're facing. What I don't like about the word awareness is it's one thing to be aware. Yeah, I'm aware that that lake is full of sharks and piranha. I probably shouldn't jump in it. But if I do, it's still a bad decision. And we can make all these people as aware as we want to about what we're facing. But until they behave better, our spectators, our student sections, our administrators, until they truly just behave better, the awareness doesn't do us any good, does it? So again, that's the message. We got to do better from an association, from our schools administratively. We have officials appreciation weeks. We'll have one in the fall, one in the winter, one in the spring. And it's only a week, and it needs to be a month. It needs to be a whole season, but at least that's something where we can really focus on doing things to appreciate and respect our officials. Preseason activities. We've had our summit. How many people attended the summit out in Kearney? Pretty cool event. Maybe I'm overly proud of that event, but I think it is maybe one of the best things as the NSAA that we provide. You get an opportunity to come in at no charge and have a great lunch, listen to some fun speakers. In the football world especially, we had Chris Van Meter, who started just like the rest of us, and now he's in the Big Ten. And we had Trip Sutter, who started in the NSAA and worked his way up, and he's in the NFL, and they told some fun stories. Again, even if you didn't learn a whole lot about how to be a better official, what a great opportunity to listen to some guys and tell some stories. So we're going to continue to do that. I think the challenge is going to be continuing to improve that summit so that people keep coming back. What can I do each year to make it better? So I've worked with Sean and other observers and other officials to take some advice on what we can do each year to improve upon that event. We've had some clinics. We had, obviously, Sean puts on clinics. We had a clinic through the NHSOA just a couple Saturdays ago. Great turnout. I think if you consider all 6 clinics across the state, we had over 200 officials attend. It's a pretty good turnout. The ones the last week, Thursday, Friday, were probably the most poorly attended, but I don't get too worked up about that because that was the night that a lot of schools were having their quote-unquote soap scrimmages. So you were asked to come work. You're getting your reps. You're getting your opportunity. I wish we had more chances to do clinics, but we're limited to when football teams are actually practicing. So anytime you get a chance to attend a summit or a clinic or an opportunity to get with Sean or somebody to provide some education, take advantage of it. Great stuff. NSAA observers. We have approximately 10 across the state that go out on Thursday nights and Friday nights and evaluate and observe officials using that form that you can all have access through your login page. It sounds like something you're going to address tonight. I will be honest with you that it is probably a little outdated if we're looking at it, and I need to get in there and get our programmer to change some language. But keep in mind, that's a guideline that we're going to evaluate you. It's like a rubric, like in education. It's somewhere for you to read and prepare yourself. If somebody marks you down on something, it's not the end of the world. Just take it for what it is. It's some feedback, okay? If you have a question about it, call me, call Sean, talk to the observers. They're just providing you feedback. And maybe they didn't see every play of the game and they marked it negatively when 9 out of 10 times you did it right. Again, don't get too worked up about that. That's feedback. They're providing you some assistance through those evaluation forms. We have 3 or 4 different ones in Omaha. I don't have enough to evaluate every crew every year. So what I try to do is get your crew evaluated every other year at a minimum. So if your crew was officially evaluated last year, chances are you'll get evaluated this year. See how that works? I don't have enough to get. We have about 110 crews that applied for the postseason this year. That used to be more like 120 when I started this job 13 years ago. So it's down a little bit. All right. Any questions about that process, communication? Any questions I can answer? Any rules changes we can discuss? Sean, anything I missed?
No, I just wanted you guys to have an opportunity to ask questions. Those of you who are new, obviously don't know Nate yet. I'm trying to get in here. That way you have a face to the name. And I will say this. If you're one of my crews, contact me first with a rules question, with a mechanics question, with a state observer question. And then if it's something I can't answer, I'll probably tell the referee to contact Nate, because he is the state director of not only officials, but specifically football officials this time of season. So if there is something I can't answer, I'm going to have you contact Nate, but go through me first so he doesn't get more emails and phone calls and text messages than he's already getting. Because I will tell you this, I probably only see about 0.01% of messages that are sent to Nate. So come through me. If I can't answer it, I'll definitely send it to Nate. Eric.
Nate, this discussion is more on the like respecting the rep portion. Like, what kind of like aggregate data and stuff like that, or like feedback is given to like schools, and maybe even it doesn't have to be specifically like by sport or by coach or whatever, but about or is there anything that's given to schools about the way our groups of officials feel about them? And like, I think that's a good way to make them aware, but then also maybe a step towards providing incentive and not disciplinary, but incentive programs to the schools, or just recognition programs for how they
treat officials.
Sportsmanship,
yeah.
Not even just to us,
but in general.
You know, there could be.
The Coaches Association is involved in that as well, and we're involved. It could be more direct. Probably right now the process is, if I hear something negative from a school about another school, or a set of officials about a school, it's a direct phone call to give them that information. But in terms of supplying them direct information about their school, probably could be better. Yeah, we could probably gather more information. Most of the time, the data through surveys that we get is generic in nature. Are there schools you won't work? Not which schools won't you work.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe it does need to be more direct, so we can tell school X, 20% of the officials said they don't want to work for you. Yeah, maybe it does at some point need to become that specific.
Or something just like which is the best and which is the worst school you've worked for. I think to me, because you never get to provide that feedback to the schools, and you know, I'm never going to contact the school like after a baseball game or something, because usually that kind of heated conversation that just goes through.
And what we've seen over the years, at times that can be a slippery slope, because we used to ask schools more often to rate officials. Well, you can about imagine your rating if they lost.
Well,
even if you did a good job, they were terrible. No, they weren't. As observers, we look at the game through a different lens than, or as officials or football people that get the game, we sometimes see the game through a different lens. You ask a team that lost, and those officials were horrible. They were the worst we've ever seen, but yet they made all the right calls. It was a tough situation. Your team lost. So that can swing both ways. And I know that in the Metro for a while, they were doing that. They were having officials rate the schools and schools rate the officials, and they were giving that information back and forth, and it got contentious. So we just got to be careful about how we manage that. But no, that's a great point.
You got 5 crews that said that you were the best school this
right.
year.
I think
recognized by the NSA.
Correct. I think if we did that, we would have to focus more on the good than pointing out the bad. But that's a great point. Absolutely. Okay.
Football the only one where you don't send out the evaluation. Last year I was coaching basketball, and you had to evaluate the positions that we had during the year.
Yeah. I think in other sports, there is a process for the schools to turn in a form. Football is a little bit different because we've always decided that there's 5 officials, not just one. Are you going to turn in a single report on all 5 officials or the crew in general? So that's probably been the obstacle in football.
Second question. Is enforcing covering the knees a lost cause?
It's a great question. It's annoying, isn't it? Right.
Like they are, or you get this kid in the middle of the game tucking up there.
Right. And my response to schools when they tell me that is, well, he's got skinny legs, so he needs to wear size mediums, but he's tall. There's no rule that states you can't wear baggy pants. So put him in XLs that cover the knees and tape them up like we used to in junior high 30 years ago. That's a hard one to obviously accept, but your point is valid. And in some ways, I would probably, I sound like maybe a sociopath when I say it out loud, but I might support if they just eliminated that rule. If a kid wants to expose his knees, let him. We don't make them cover their elbows, and the elbows get hit just as often as their knees do. If truly not covering your knees leads to all these injuries, as they say, why aren't we seeing all these injuries in the NFL or in college where they're uncovering their knees? You know, what do we know? That's a fact. But I would also argue that knee pad doesn't protect you from an ACL. The ACL is going to blow because the knee moves, not because it gets hit. Now, it might hit it and bend it in the wrong direction, but the pad's not going to stop that. The pad would stop a bruise, correct? So again, it's what it boils down to is in an education-based activity such as this, when we're dealing with high school kids, the committee always feels that we have to protect the student athletes from themselves, right? I even got into an interesting conversation with I sit on the national committee with a guy, and I wanted to get rid of adornment rules. I don't care if the kids wear earrings. I don't care if the kids have a sweatband on above their elbow or their eyes black in a triangle, or the wristband on their waist. I don't care about those things, but unfortunately the rules say we have to. And he said, well, we got to protect these kids against themselves. What if his helmet comes off and his earring pulls out? And my response was, well, then he'll quit wearing an earring. I mean, that's his choice to make. He's not hurting anybody else. We've taken adornment rules out of track, out of volleyball, out of softball. Maybe it's trickling towards football. And I assure you that's where I'm going with it at the national level. When I vote or when I write a proposal, I would like to see us get rid of those pre-game uniform police rules. So with back to the knees, here's what I would say. Work with them, right? If obviously it's the deliberate attempt to pull that pad and halfway up their thigh or 2 inches above the knee, then they need to get it fixed. If it's at or near the knee, when they do something like that, it's a little high. Hey guys, make sure that doesn't come up too much higher. Keep your knees covered. Work with them, talk to them. This is the stuff we got to get rid of. That's an obvious, blatant abuse of the rule. Yeah. Fair enough. And you're within the right to send them out of the game. Absolutely. So we just continue to enforce it, especially the one with the shoulder pads. They're cutting those jerseys shorter and shorter. And, you know, if just the tip is showing and you can tell that they're attempting to cover the pad, but it's more of a cut issue, you know what it looks like when it's pulled all the way up and they're trying to bounce around out there and make a scene. You know what that looks like. Cover the back pads, those kind of things. But maybe we're headed in the right direction. I hope. Anything else?
No, it's 6:47.
No, it's whatever. What do we got?
Real quick, remind the coaches, if I give 2 minutes after a score or between periods, please make your men drink and don't spend the extra minute on coaching. We had this in COVID. I plan on doing it Friday. I don't know what else.
What you just said is the point. I don't know what else we can do. We're taking the extra time. I can lead a horse to water. I can't make it drink, right? We're going to give you the extra time. If you choose not to use it, coach, there's nothing I can do for you. We're going. We're on 2 minutes. Yeah, I could send out some sort of a reminder, but let's be honest, do coaches ever read my emails anyway? I question that.
I kind of equate that to the liability issue of us as officials. Like we can, if baseball, for example, if the field is unsafe, they want to play. Once it starts, we have the decision. It's kind of reverse of that, right? We give them the time, we inform them. At that point, if something catastrophic, God forbid, happens, you know, we are trying to inform them to protect the kids and themselves. At that point.
Yeah, you're there to
make sure you're doing the reminding.
you're there to officiate the playing rules. You're not really there to make a decision on. I had a question today about the heat and who makes the decision on whether we play the game or not. The school administrators make that decision. If they say we're starting at 7 and you're the officials, all right, then we're going to, within the rules, operate as we can. Yeah.
But don't just because they're not going to do it, don't not.
Correct.
Because then
provide the opportunity. Yeah, don't get in the middle of the game like, well, we've extended these periods to 2 minutes and they're not taking. We're done doing it. No, just keep doing it. Yeah.
Because then otherwise you're asking.
Maybe, could be.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Hey, you mentioned at the summit and at the clinic a little bit about the basic spots, kind of an area of concern for you. What's your biggest concern coming into this season?
It's a good question. I think just working through the first 2 or 3 weeks with the new penalty enforcement. I don't know that we need to overthink it. Sean and I have worked a lot on that card. I think that should eliminate a lot of the issues. I've had a few people call me even on some what-if statements, and I just pulled that out and said, well, as I read this is what I would do. And maybe you've heard me say this before, guys. I've never been a football official before. And so I'm here to provide some leadership and some guidance and some consistency, work with Sean and work with the people to educate me on good decisions and protocols. So if you have questions about anything, you can start with me, and many times I'm going to ask him anyway, or the other observers or anybody else that can provide positive leadership.
This is my biggest fear is officials aren't using this enough. Use this. Everyone has it. You sent it out again 2 days ago.
Yeah, I think so.
Print it out. Put it in your game card. When in doubt, you have a doubt as a crew. Literally, pull it out and use it. It's better to spend another 2 minutes getting it right than it is, oh, shoot, it shouldn't have been a second down and 18. It should have been second down and 8, whatever the case may be.
And maybe there's an element of it doesn't look like we know what we're doing. We don't want the coaches to see us doing it. I talked to about 75 to 100 coaches at the clinic this year, and I said, we're providing this as a tool. I said, you have a play call sheet, right? Like you have help with your play call, and you don't memorize all your play calls. So we're providing an opportunity to the officials to get it right. That's the important thing here. Don't get upset if they're looking at a card during penalty enforcement. They want to provide the right rule. One thing that was asked of me is, well, what happens if, and I don't think it happens very often in this day and age with all of the technology and what's available, and what if a coach comes up to you either between a play or at halftime and says, look, you missed this. See, look right here. I would very politely tell him, you need to put that away immediately or I'm going to penalize you for unsportsmanlike behavior. No way. We're not doing that, guys. They're not going to get showed up on video. Yeah, we don't have instant replay in high school. And furthermore, you don't have instant replay for calls even at the NFL or college level. That's what the instant replay is for. So don't try to show me up with it. So if that happens, be polite. Let them know that they need to put that away immediately, and let me know or let Sean know they did it, and I will have a conversation with that school.
So so say now this is probably going to be something like maybe more of a sub-varsity context, but say something does go on, and it's a friendly conversation. Hey, I just wanted to let you know, like, we were looking at this at halftime, blah, blah, blah. Is it ever appropriate to say, okay, send it to Sean or send it to myself, or say, we can talk after the game, exchange some contact information. You can say, send it to me so I can review, and then maybe go to Sean or to Nate.
I think the easy part of that is say, Coach, if you share your film in the huddle pool, I'll have access to it. Oh, sub-varsity. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I would say, Coach, if that came up in varsity.
Coach, then I would say then share it. Yeah, share it with Sean or figure out a platform so we can actually see that film. Yeah.
Would you say maybe keep an intermediary between that rather than saying exchanging directly?
Well, we don't really have a platform for sharing sub-varsity film.
No, I'm just saying if they know Sean's contact.
Oh yeah.
Share it on Huddle.
They could probably share it through Huddle still.
Share it on Huddle. I'll take a look at it next week.
Yeah. There's an
Well,
avenue.
that's direct.
No, huddle. NSAA huddle. NHSOA huddle.
So for sub-varsity.
Yeah, you're not going to see it.
Not sub-varsity.
Yeah,
That's what
sub-varsity.
I'm saying.
Sub-varsity, you're probably not going to get
I
the
just
film,
don't want to do
unfortunately.
something if I'm, if it is a friendly approach, obviously they're coming up and like, screw you, you got this wrong, we got this on tape. Okay, then I'm gonna brush that off. We don't have instant replay.
Right.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, I would
If you'd like to share the film with the NSAA, or you can always put it back. You can share it with the NSAA, and we can review it. Yeah. Right.
Your players never made a mistake.
Right. We might have, Coach.
Calling play.
Right.
Send,
Especially.
send it, if it's one of my games, send it to Sean, and Sean will send it to me. I would, me personally, I would stay out of that middle.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
will.
Yeah.
Going
Good
once,
evening.
going twice before Nate hits the road.
Yeah, guys.
All right.
Like I said, I tell people all the time in this presentation, you guys are here on a Wednesday night, right? Giving up your personal time. You could all be sitting at home on the couch, hanging out, golfing, whatever it is that you do, but you've chosen to provide a service for our member schools and the student athletes. And that's the message that our people need to understand, how much work you put into this and that you do want to get it right. So I appreciate that, because without you and the other 782 officials who've been classified this year, we're down about 18 from last year. That goes a long ways for us. So again, the NSAA appreciates it. We just got to make sure our member schools appreciate it, and I'll use psychopath spectators sometimes appreciate it when they lose the control of their emotions. Okay. So again, thank you guys. Appreciate it very much.
All right.
Okay.
I'll take that.
Appreciate it.
All right, and this goes into our next section, our observation form. All right, so we have a lot of new officials. I think there's 36 officials here. I'm not sure how many are live online on YouTube, and I'm not sure how many are going to view it. But, we have a lot of new officials in this area, and there's so much information at NSA, but we don't know how to get to it. All right, so nsaahome.org. I'm going to click on this in a second. But we got to log in. We click on observations. We preview football crew evaluation form. And as Nate said, the goal of this form is consistency. And it's not consistency in judgment. But there's no way we could ever get consistent in judgment. Every play is different. Every game is different. Everybody's angle is different. But we can get consistent in mechanics, in signals, in words. And that's the purpose of this. So as we open this, actually I don't want to do that because I don't have my, All right, so NSAA officials. We're going to go log in. Hopefully you have your login either saved. And now at the very bottom is observations. You click on observations. You could view your previous year's observation. And then you could preview the football crew evaluation form. All right, so this is where the observers go. So everyone's really, like Nate was saying, everyone is observed on the same criteria. This is a very basic Rubik's Crew guideline. And what I'm really concerned about is the why, right? So physical appearance of crew, clean matching uniforms. All right, so make sure you don't have a brown piping hat. Have it white piping hat. Bean bags, all blue, all black, all white. I think all three colors are legal. Black shoes, minimal white, no flag showing. Anyone know the trick for no flag showing? Go ahead, Eric. What's the trick? Yeah, and the reason for that is, well, two reasons. One, so the flag doesn't fall out of your pants on accident. Because all of a sudden now a flag's on the field and you don't even know your flag fell out of your pants. And then number two, how many people have thrown a flag and you're like, I want that flag back? So when you make it hard to pull the flag, you will actually be like, wasn't big enough. Screw it, I'm going to keep it in my pants. All right, so hide that flag. That is literally why that is in the observation form. Pre-game responsibility, on field at 30 minutes. They're looking for punctual people. All right, when I say they're, I'm going to say the observers, the NSAA, because if you are selected to the playoffs, if you are selected to state championship, guess what's the last thing they want to worry about? You showing up on time. So that's a huge part of the observation form. Check line again, meet the crew, referee and line judge on 40's press box side. First meet the home coach, then the visiting coach, umpire and 50, umpire, line judge, back judge, 50s and 40s. Coaches become creatures of habit. Okay, so if they're on the road, I mean, you guys are going to think this is crazy. But coaches on the road are going to time how long you're spending with the home team coach. So you meet the home team coach first, because you as a crew should know how much time you spent with that home team coach. That sets the parameter. So now when you go to that visiting team coach, hey, Sean, you just spoke 5 minutes to the home coach. Make sure you give this visiting coach a lot of room to talk and converse with your crew, because you don't want to be 5 minutes with one, 1 minute with the other, because they do pay attention. Again, that's why it's on the observation form. We have to be aware of those signals.
So with the R and the LJ on the 540s and not 45, so you can stack them. The three on the opposite field on the opposite side have those yard lines covered.
Yeah, I do not have a very clear why the 40s, why the 50s, why not the 45s. I do know this: if the teams aren't out there, we don't have to be out there. That's only if the teams are out there and if you're not doing anything, which we'll get into later. Our crew very rarely is standing at the 40s and 50s just because everything's going on. I mean, it's national anthem, that's it. So, but the big thing is when you walk the field, R and line judge walk together, umpire, H, and back judge walk together. Because those observers, guess what they're doing? When they see the R and whoever's walking with the R, they are writing down on the form what? Line judge. They don't know your name yet. Line judge. So now you get your report, and all of a sudden the R and the umpire walked with each other, and now that whole report is all messed up. It's the wrong person. I mean, it has happened. I've seen observation forms. All right, coin toss. 20 minutes prior to kickoff is the NSAA recommendation. If there's something weird, they're honoring seniors, they're honoring homecoming king and queen, that might adjust it, but that should all be taken care of in a confirmation email. But again, humans are creature of habit. The press box, the coaches are going to send out the captains. They are doing their warm-ups in a very specific time frame. I just had a conversation with the high school today. We had to push the game back to 7:30. And I tried to inform the ADs, like, please push it back so there's a set time of when everything is going to happen. And then when I explained it to them, they're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. All right, so that's, again, consistency. Everybody knows when stuff is going to go. Mechanics, this is just to make sure what crews are reading the mechanics manual, what crews are not reading the mechanics manual. Yeah.
Also, go back. I would suggest what I do with my crew, I get out a little earlier than 30 minutes prior, because teams do go in early sometimes. So now, at that time, now you waiting on a captain, or you have to go get a captain, come back out. That's all I'm just saying. Just make sure you get that taken care of first, but they do go in early.
I mean, I don't know how much training tapes or meetings you've been to, but observe action, not the ball. Observe action, not the ball. Maintain sideline coverage. Stay off the field until the play's over. The reason it's on the observation form is because it's there to, one, protect you, two, help you get calls right. All right. So if you have not printed this out, especially as a new official, I strongly doing it like when you get home tonight. Pregame, if your crews have not gone over this, this should be your first week pregame. All right. Line judge, what are you doing on kickoff? Headline, then what are you doing on punts? Back judge, what are you doing on kickoffs? All right. Because if we're not all doing this, number one, as a crew, it's going to hurt our observation and our quote-unquote grade. And then number two, it will hurt the bigger picture, consistency, crew after crew after crew, week after week. Because the last thing I want is a coach saying, well, that's not how the crew did it last week. All right, now I got to call the crew and figure out what happened. All right, because humans are a creature of habit. Let's see here. Pre-snap. Referee 7x7, 7-yard back, 7-yard wide. We're wide so we can see tackle. We're back so we don't get in the way. That's why we're 7 yards back. Umpire 1 yard deeper than linebacker. So it's not necessarily we're 4, 5, 6 every single time. We just have to be behind the linebackers at least 1 yard so they can move. Why do we have to adjust between 4 to 8 yards, umpires? Line to gain, goal line, the 5 yard. And so those tight ends don't start using you as a pick. Because coaches will pick up on that. All right, this umpire always lines up 5 yards off the ball, 5 yards off the ball, 5 yards off the ball. That tight end's going to start running 5-yard routes. All right, and use you as a pick for that linebacker. So umpire, that's, again, why these observation forms are made the way they're made. Back judge, approximately 20 yards off the line of scrimmage. I love this. Approximately. Okay? Because if you have Eric Nielsen in the back, he'll probably start 18. All right? If you have me in the back, I'm probably going to start 23. All right? So know your mobility, number one, but know what type of offenses you're going to have. If you're going to have a pass heavy, you got trips, you might want to start a little bit deeper. Where if you have I formation and they're trap, you don't have to be so far back. Eric? Yep, and situation. Fourth.
You know it's going to be a fourth and long or a fourth and short. You might need to get a dead ball initiator come up into the zone and it's fourth and short, so you can see more a little bit, shoot a couple yards up. Or if you know it's fourth and 18, then you might start at the line or back up and then go towards the line of game.
All right, so knowing the situation is going to determine where you start as well as the back judge. Establish line of scrimmage, foot nearest the offense. We did this, I think it was in our second rules meeting. We always use the backfield foot. Wow, it's on the observation form. Anyone remember why we want to use the backfield foot? Yeah, so when they lean forward with their helmet, they're not touching or over the football. It's on the observation form for that reason. All right, so as we go through, or as your crew goes through this observation form, I think it prints out as 3 or 4 pages. 5. Awesome. Number one, focused on your position. Okay, you don't have to read every single position every single week, just your position. Number 2, if there's something that you're being told what to do, and you don't know why you're being told to do it, contact your referee. And if your referee doesn't know, referees contact me. And we will explain why the actual observation form is this way. All right. Again, to me, it always goes back to consistency and teaching us how to officiate with our feet so we're in the right position so we could get our call accuracy better. As Nate said, I really think the observation form is really, really good. Can we make it 10 pages? Probably. Do we need to make it 10 pages? No. The only thing I really would add is under this comment box, allow more room for observers to give more comments. Okay? So, again, the main purpose, I wanted to make sure everybody knew where this observation form was. If you're a student of the game, this is your test and you are given the questions. All right, so nail the test when you get observed. Tom, did your crew get observed last year? Jason, did your crew get observed last year? My crew did not get observed last year. Did Tim Arndt's crew? All right, so you did. Yours did. Yours did. Chad's did. Tim, your crew has not. Okay. And your referee is. Oh, so you haven't been. So that's 5 crews. All right. Lance got observed last year. So there's 5 crews in here. Rob, did you guys get observed last year? So that's 6 crews in here. You don't know which one they're coming to observe. All right. So I've heard crews say, well, I wish I knew I was being observed today. All right. You guys.
What's a big game? What's a big game?
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a game. I'm just saying, watch out because you won't know. It's a very
Actually, no.
Oh, like this. What's a big game?
Hold on. All right. So the statement was the observers aren't going to go to the big games. And I agree with that. They're not going to the big 1 versus 3 game. Because guess what? Those are the easy games to officiate. The game that our crew got evaluated was Omaha North versus Omaha Northwest 72-6 football game. And the observer came up to us after the game and said, if you could work this game hard, you could work any game hard. That's all he said to us. All right, so I'm not going to say they won't be at big games, but every game is big to somebody. And as the crew who worked Westview last week, so I called the referee and I said, hey, I'm putting together this training tape. There's not a lot of games out there. Do you mind if I use this game for the training tape? He goes, absolutely. So I only put 12 on the training tape, but I gave him feedback on about 40 plays. So quote unquote, they were observed. They had no idea they were going to be observed. All right, so you just never know who's watching, what games Nate's going to watch, what games the observers are going to watch, because observers do watch huddle game film too. They watch it. They want to have a good pulse of a crew before they go out watch a crew. So a little tidbit there as well. All right, going back to the PowerPoint here. All right, back to, sweet. Nope, that's not what I want. I want display settings, duplicate. All right, ball mechanics. This part of the game, I don't think we talk enough about, and this is football, okay? I'm not kidding you when I say this. When I first started officiating, literally 5 officials would go out, talk to the coaches, walk the field, do the coin toss. We would stand around the middle of the field and throw a football around. And after the first week, I go, guys, what are we doing? I go, oh, that's how we warm up. And after that, I just stood at the sideline. I'm like, I am out of here. Because it goes back to that observation. That's weird, right? So don't do that. Pre-game, ball mechanics. Referee approved game balls. So how many crews have the umpires look at the game balls while the referee's looking at or talking to the coach? Okay. If there is a question on the legality of the football, it's still referee. Okay. So referees sort of trust your line judge, trust your umpire, trust your back judge, whoever it may be. Here's what I see a lot. They bring 1 football. That's a big no-no. I don't let a coach bring 1 football because they always have a kicking football. And we should always have another football that after a long incomplete pass out of bounds, we have another football going in that quarterback likes. So before a game, we should have 3 footballs approved by the crew. Do they have to? No. But has anyone seen a team use the quarterback's ball to kick off? Never. I shouldn't say never. I just haven't seen it. Well, we overlook that. We do. We overlook that. And then only game balls approved can be used. Referees, if they don't give it to you right away at the coaches' meeting because they don't have them, the ball boys aren't there, kickers are still using it. When you're walking the field, approve them. Okay? No one says exactly when it has to be approved. It just has to be approved before the game. Kickoff, back judge. Secure the kicking team's ball when they come out of the locker room. All right, we know who's kicking when. 20 minutes before the game. All right. We don't want to be in the middle of the field without a kicking ball. So when the teams come out, find the ball personnel, get the kicking ball. We're ready to rock and roll. We should not be waiting for a kicking ball to start the game.
Is it appropriate? Like, you know how when I was on your crew, I would, if we had a team on the press box side kicking, I would always have Gort, our line judge, hit the kicking ball like 5-10 minutes before the game. He holds it at his spot on the 40. Then we come into the starburst. That's when we exchange.
So the question is, can the line judge bring it to the middle of the field? Absolutely. But whose responsibility is it to make sure the line judge has the football? Back judge. So back judge, make sure you secure the football. All right. So starburst, somebody on my crew asked me today, hey, what's a starburst? All right. You meet at the 50, you do your thing, and then you star out. Okay. So the back judge goes to the 40. The line judge, you're lucky, you just stay right there at the 50. Don't go anywhere. And then the referee has to beat umpire and head linesman down the field. Right? It's sharp. If you've seen a crew do it, it looks really, really sharp. And then sideline officials instruct your ball people to stay near you throughout the game. Get to know their name. Is it Bill? Is it John? Is it Susan? Whatever their name is, you shouldn't be a ball. No. Walter, Jason. Get to know their name, and they'll usually work with you a lot better because names are important. Scrimmage kicks, so field goal, have the kicking ball next to the goalpost. All right, so again, that's back judges. Train those ball personnel. Hey, after a touchdown, you're going to do a PAT field goal. Whatever ball you want to kick off with, just put it right next to the field goal post. Back judges, you should not be running 20 yards back to get that ball and running all the way back to the 40-yard line. You cannot do that in 60 seconds and be ready to officiate. I don't care how good of a shape you are. Incomplete passes. Long incomplete pass. Sideline officials. We're not ball chasers. You are turning back to your ball person. All right? Boom. Eric. Second ball. Sweet. Guess what that little kid's going to do now? They're going to take off and they're going to go, I don't have that football. All right? Back judges. If it's in the middle of the field, you got to help them. If it's on the opposite side of the field, you got a couple choices. They could run all the way around the field to get it, or you could be the relay from another kid on the other side, boom, ball, and get it across. So that's what we mean by back judges. Each situation is different, but we don't want one team stealing the ball from the other team. Doesn't happen in high school. It does happen in college. Happens in college all the time. Okay, so we have to be aware where those footballs are. Anyone know what a football costs? Any?
Those team issue ones are like $130 a piece.
All right, so
Well, those are the special
Yeah.
stamp logos and all that stuff.
Yep.
Average Wilson leather is, I think, like $85.
Yeah.
Last time I checked.
So understand those footballs have some monetary value, not only game value to those teams. All right, run for a loss. Referee, you're working to get the ball from either official line of scrimmage or the player. So if it's going sideline to sideline for a loss, I as a referee, I'm going back and forth. I'm not making my back judge start 20 yards off approximately and then come all the way up for a 2-yard loss. I got to move. Runs for a gain, back judges, we should be closing down if it's a run towards the sideline, right? So you should be already be moving that way, not sprinting that way in case they break free. But we expect our back judge on a run for a gain, numbers and outside, to get that ball from the player and or the H&L to get to the umpire. The only time the umpire should go outside the hash marks, which we'll get into the tips, is when time is of the essence. And we need to get that ball, and we need to get that ball down as fast as we can, sideline to sideline. But we'll get into that later. But back judge, you have to be very involved in ball mechanics to the point you should take pride in ball mechanics as a back judge. Good, solid ball mechanics will make your crew look crisp. Will make your crew look crisp. Runs with the passer. Referees, that's your baby. So if it's a 10-yard gain, opponent's sideline, you better be bringing that quarterback out. Again, there's no reason to have that back judge to run in there because you're there with your baby. All right, so back judge, you get to take a deep breath there when the quarterbacks go sideline to sideline. But let your quarterback know you're there with them. The defense knows you're there with them too. It's going to help keep them off the quarterbacks. So overall goal is make sure there's no footballs on the ground. All right, so each crew has certain things they do. I call it a thirsty football if it hits the ground. All right, so you don't want to fill the thirst of the crew, so you have to follow these tips. Do not throw over players. All right, let the players separate and then throw it. There's no hurry to get the ball to the umpire. Don't throw over the players. There's absolutely no reason to hurry. The only time we're in a hurry is when the umpire is going sideline to sideline. They're getting the ball, they're putting it down. There is no exchange. They're getting the ball. So if there's not a hurry, there's no reason. It's not a hot potato. It's let's relax and look good. Take an extra step when needed. Windy days. So if there's a lot of wind, all right, get closer. All right, don't throw it up in the wind and it'll take off and all of a sudden the umpire's hitting a linebacker and hitting an offensive lineman. Inbounds, out of bounds. Sideline officials. If we have this signal, inbounds, out of bounds, right? You got that ball, Rob? There it is. Okay. Ball. Clearly inbounds. Sorry. Ball. Clearly out of bounds. And then pick it up, get it to the back judge or referee if it's a gain or loss. All right. Let everybody know what that status is. Inbounds, out of bounds, and yes, still give in or out.
Should you place that ball on the spot?
The yard line.
No one else, so no one else thinks, oh, you place the ball out of bounds, the yard ahead.
No. Yard line. Yard line. Spot the ball on the yard line. Yes. Correct. Do not wind it, because if they're inbounds, we should be going up here. 2, 3, 4, inbounds, boom. All right, if it's out of bounds, I'm killing it, pointing the ball clearly out of bounds, giving the signal out of bounds, and then I'm going to throw that ball in. Yep. Okay, so great. So the statement was, it seems rather redundant, but is everybody watching you exactly all at the same time? All right, so sometimes coaches are looking at you right away. I guarantee you the coaches in the press box aren't looking at you right away. Assistant coaches aren't looking at you right away. And I promise you, your referee is not looking at you right away because they have stuff on the backside. All right, so we're doing all this communication because we know you know, we have to let everybody else know what's going on with this ball status. Inbounds, out of bounds, yard line. Has any coaches in here used to? Any clock operators in here? Any former announcers in here? Okay. How much can officials confuse you if the signals and mechanics are not clear? All right. And that's what officials don't. I mean, really, if that's one thing I have learned as a supervisor, if I just sit in the press box, it is amazing when a crew has very solid signals, how everybody knows what's going on. When a crew doesn't have solid signals, everybody is confused. And if you take 7 seconds away in between plays for coaches to figure out what we're doing, now they're down to 33 seconds on the play clock. Right? And you don't realize that until you're in that position. Right? Shoot, is it 4th and 1 or is it 1st and 10? That's a huge difference. Well, I don't know. They didn't put the ball down. They didn't stop the clock. They're not putting up their hand. I don't know what's going on. Now all of a sudden we put the ball down with 20 seconds on the play clock. Oh, shoot. All right. Go ahead, Walter.
Question with that. So whenever we're here at the sideline, you're placing spotting in or out, would it be easier to grab back judge at the second ball from the ball boy? I know we don't have a 7-man crew.
Good luck training that ball boy coming in for the back judge. Yes, that would be awesome, having that ball personnel, second ball, so that first ball stays there the whole entire time. If you could get your ball personnel to do that, way to go. Awesome. I know my umpire is going to hate this next one because like his big thing is he does not go outside the hash marks. And I told him, exception. So we're underneath 2 minutes. It's a 1-possession ball game. It is a first down inbounds, and they are hurrying up. Anyone remember this Wisconsin-Hawaii game 3 or 4 years ago? All right, so they toss the ball to the umpire, hit the player in the helmet. All of a sudden, the game clock ran out because of that ball relay. Okay? So when time is of the essence, it might happen to your crew once all season long. We don't want a ball tossed from line of scrimmage to umpire. All right, now if it's out of bounds, it doesn't matter. Clock stop. It's that run inbounds. It's not a first down shoot. We got to get this ball down. No ball relay. Just umpires go get it and get it down. Here's my crew goals. Hopefully you guys have your crew goals. No football relay touches the ground, and be the best relay crew. All right. The only time I allow a ball to touch the ground is if the player tosses it to the umpire and it's just a bad toss by the player. Okay, so if it's truly our relay, we should take pride in that. Any questions, ball mechanics?
If we can prove that we're better than your crew, what do we get?
Let's see here. We got one. You better get a all 22 angle, all 27 camera. Yep. Yep. All right.
Well, drones aren't allowed.
Yeah.
I'm seeing your hand, Derek.
All right. Crew penalty enforcement. All right. We're not talking about is it a 5-yard penalty? Is it a 10-yard penalty? We're going to get to that at the end of this meeting. We are talking about mechanics. All right. The thing that I think takes away the most crew credibility is we enforce a 10-yard penalty. Oh, shoot, it's a 5-yard penalty. We pick it up. We move the ball. Oh, shoot, we just moved from position 1 to position 5. Okay? And by the way, we've all been there. All right, so this crew penalty enforcement is everything that is put into this beautiful officials manual so this doesn't happen. So, number 1, we have to throw a flag. Spot foul, throw it to the ground. That is telling everybody on the crew that spot is important. If you throw it high in the air, now we know it's succeeding spot or the previous spot. Right? We could have illegal formation. We could have sideline warning. But we know it's a high flag in the air. That flag toss gets everybody's mind going already. And then dead ball, throw high in the air. That's a pretty obvious, easy one. We saw this in the training tape video where an official threw a flag and stopped officiating. All right, it is the hardest, I think it's the hardest thing to do as a football official. Throw the flag, get the spot, get the number, start thinking, oh, wait, they're still running the football. Oh, my God. Oh, shoot, there's a fumble. All right. So you have to continue to officiate. Finish the live ball play, then finish dead ball officiating. So H's and L's. Once you throw the flag, you have to get the spot. Back judges, you have to recognize if a line of scrimmage threw the flag, what are they going to do after the play? They're going to go run and talk to the referee. So who's covering the football? Back judge. All right? Because if you're not covering the football, we can lose. Where's the end of the run? All right? So finish, live ball play, dead ball officiate.
Also, let the line judge and the back judge communicate that's a good spot.
Yep.
The flag.
And we'll get into that with two flags. If there's only one flag down, you can give a preliminary signal. All right? Encroachment, pass interference, and then point to the team. Holding, point to the team. So you don't have to go all the way into the referee. Who are you actually doing this for? Anyone know? Coaches. All right, because if we go like this, sorry, I'm going to get up again. If I go like this, does anybody know what's going on? Yeah. Yeah. A foul is not a secret. Let everybody see you and own it. Now the defense could accept, all right, we want to decline it because it's going to be 4th down and 7. Or we want to accept it because we'd rather have 3rd down and 17. Don't hide it if you're the only flag. 2 flags. Officials who threw the flags need to get together and communicate. Number 1, do they have the same fouls? Number 2, if it is the same foul, you now have to match up those flags. All right, so anyone have a long toss flag? Anyone not have a long toss flag? All right, so people ask, like, why do you put your initials on your flag? This is the play. Because when I start throwing somebody else's flag, I notice it right away. All right, so put your flags together. So now that's a signal. They have the same foul. That's the same enforcement spot. We have good communication. This crew is very well versed. Just by moving flags together. And with that case, same flag or same foul, only one has to go to the referee. If you have 2 different fouls, now both of you have to go to the referee. I have holding on the offense. I have pass interference on the defense. We're going to offset it, but that referee needs to get the information from both officials. All right, so now the referee has the information. Referee, and every crew is different. Yep. Yeah. There's nothing worse as a referee because you know who the coaches yell at, right? You guys know who the coaches yell at? So, Coach, I don't have the number. Well, it's not a foul. Okay. No. That's another bad one. It's on 66. We don't have a 66. Yeah. All right. We have the flag. We conversed. We got the information to the referee. Referee, you now have to communicate this information to all your crew, aka also like 100% your umpire. Okay, your umpire has to know. Umpires is my umpire's not in here. Umpires, what I recommend is always be around the referee conversation. You'll typically hear it. So what I'll do as a referee is once I get the information, I get on my O2O, and I'm going to say false start, offense, number 76, 5 yards, previous spot. That's how I communicate it to everybody. If I don't have an O2O, I find my umpire, and I say 76, false start, 5 yards, previous spot. I need to practice as a referee what I'm going to announce. There are more and more stadiums that are getting microphones. And referees, if you're not practicing this every single foul, you're going to get up a stadium microphone, you're going to stumble, and your crew's going to look really, really bad. I said, don't, or you could just, it doesn't work, so don't use it. All right? All right. So that's referee. Practice. Yeah. Practice your announcement when you give your crew the information. Umpire communication with the H&L. So one finger. I didn't put this in the presentation. Umpires, stand the direction you're going to walk. Because if I'm standing in the wrong direction, guess what my H&L could do? Hey, Sean, wrong way, wrong way. Whoop. All right, so I could turn the other way. Because how many people have walked 5 yards the wrong way? We've all done it. All right. So face the direction. 1 is 5 yards. 2 is 10 yards. 3 is 15 yards. The chop is half the distance. All right. Standing the direction. Umpire H&L. Now your movement is very, very purposeful. It's so we don't lose a previous spot. Because if we do screw up an enforcement, we could always go back to that previous spot. Umpire and H, you are going to that spot. It's a lot harder on fields that does not have tick marks. But here's what I'll typically do. I'm at the 42. I'm going to the 37. So I'm not marching off 1, 2, 3. All I'm doing is 42, 37. All right? Just go to that spot. And stop umpires. Because once the U and H are there, now line judge, you're moving without looking at each other. All right? Because if everybody looks at me on the penalty enforcement, and if I'm wrong, we're all going to be wrong. All right? You have to go to the spot that you guys communicated, 1, 2, 3. When all 3 are at the spot, you guys are all lined up. Sweet, we got this right. If we're off, that's when you have to get back on the O2O. And why are we off? Why are we off by 1 yard? Why are we off by 2 yards? All right. If you have to redo it, you have the previous spot because the H told the box not to move until that ball is down. All right, so umpires, you don't want to put down the ball. Oh, shoot, we're off. I'm going to pick it up and move it back a yard. That's horrible. Hold on to the football. Move back 1 yard. Nobody even noticed that. Put it down. Once that ball is down, now move the box. And if it's a first down, now move the chains. This whole process, if you do it correctly, I call it efficiently. It's not as slow as you think. It's maybe 60 seconds, maybe 60 seconds. But it's so much better than screwing it up and all of a sudden now we're in a 5-minute delay. Okay? Don't be too quick. Don't be too slow. All you have to do is the process. Referee, get the information. Referee, give the information. Umpire to the H&L. Umpire H move. L move. Ball down. Chains box go. And everyone's thinking, oh, sweet, what's the back judge doing, right? Back judge, write down time. So quarter, time in the quarter, the team who fouled, the penalty, and which official threw the flag.
And Nate just sent out the
Sweet. Yeah. Oh, we got it. Yeah. All right. So if your crew is not writing down all your fouls, you should be. And it should be the back judge. All right, so back judge, first quarter, 10-12, false start, offense, 76. Because then at the end of the week, if that game film is shared, our crew should be watching every single foul. Was it there? Was it big? And the only way we have that is if the back judge is writing it down. Mentally enforced penalty in your head. You know we're going from the 42. We're going up 5. We should be at the 37.
Question. Or whenever you're getting with your umpire, especially with the new enforcement slots this year, are you going to let them know, like, hey, we're going to position 1?
Yep. All right, and then back judge, no clock status. So hot, cold. Hot means the clock's going to run after the penalty enforcement. Cold means it's going to start on the snap. So back judges will either do this, they'll do this, or they'll do this. All right, so we have a new back judge this year, so that's going to be his big goal this week. It's just going to be random. All right, hey, what's the clock status? Because he needs to know incomplete pass, snap. Run inbounds, hot. All right, back judge, you should be doing that every single play. Because back judges, if you've never been a referee, after this whole process, 90% of the time, we completely forgot what happened on the previous play. Because we're so focused on making sure the crew looks good. We don't know if it was an incomplete pass, if it was a run in bounds, run out of bounds. That's why we're relying on that back judge to get that for us. So the question was, as a referee, are we giving positions? Indirectly, we are. Because if I say previous spot, that means we're going back to where that ball was snapped. Not only the yard line, but also the position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So umpires should have 2 down indicators. One is first down, second down, third down, fourth down. The other one is position 1 is thumb. Position 2, position 3 is the middle finger, middle of the field. Position 4, position 5. So we know where that ball was snapped from the previous spot. Again, unless you were a coach, that spot is very important for the next play call. Yes.
Penalty conference. Let the white hat lead the conference. Conference where the calling official and the umpire sharing information. All we view, don't leave me, because they should have the number.
Yep. Number is very, very important. Any questions? Number 1, not only what to do, but for me, most importantly, why the mechanics are the way they are. Again, there's in football, there's nothing worse than having a missed penalty enforcement. There's absolutely nothing worse in my opinion. I'd rather have an inadvertent whistle than a missed penalty enforcement. Right? Because only one person screwed up on an inadvertent whistle. 5 people screwed up if we have a penalty misenforcement. Chad?
If you guys are on the O2O and you know something's wrong, speak up.
Yes.
Say something. It doesn't hurt to take an extra minute or 2 to make sure we enforce it.
Yep.
Also, add on to that, the younger people, the newer people, don't be afraid to do that. Please, don't be afraid to do that. That's important. You throw a lot of hair on your head if you do that, because that means you know. I don't have it, so I just have to reiterate that. That's important. If you know something, speak up. Don't be afraid. I just want to add on to that.
So just because I'm not sure if the microphone.
There might be something. I don't like those things. If you know, because there have been a lot, times where you're like, wait, especially as a new guy, you're like, oh, do I or do I not know this? You might not exactly know, but just ask the question.
Yep.
Exactly. If you bring something, it might trigger the right thing. So
You don't have to be 100.
For referees too, you got to ask the right question.
Mm-hmm.
You don't tell me what you call, tell me what you saw. We'll figure it out. But I mean, you get to know your guys and ask enough questions
So just in case the microphone didn't pick it up, what the conversation was, if you're using O2O, which is official to official, if you have any doubt whatsoever, did we do this right? Get on the O2O and ask the question. Hey, are we sure we're supposed to enforce them from the previous spot? Didn't we snap it at position 1? Ask the right question that you don't have the answer. Because if you don't want to go in the locker room with, I should have said something. All right. Ask the question. That's what the O2O is there for. And notice the O2O is all extra. It's after all the mechanics. We should not be going to the O2O right away. How many people have been watching NFL games recently? Really watch when they go to the O2O. It's always at the end. Always at the end. It's never the first thing they do. Because they have to communicate to us, the audience. All right, we need to know what's going on. Yes.
You're giving the penalty, your signal, the announcer, want your guys to stay off the OTO or you put it in.
So I don't care. It's not going to screw me up. I keep it in. If they're talking because they're asking questions, hey, are we sure we're doing this right? I'm able to process that. Other referees, and you'll see them on the NFL, they just take it out when they do their announcement. And then after the announcement, then the umpire is going to come up and the referee says, correction, da-da-da-da-da-da. So it goes back to make your referee happy. So if the referee tells you to stay off the O2O until they're done announcing, stay off the O2O until they're done announcing. If you want your crew to talk and you don't want to hear it, pull it out of your ear so you don't hear what they're talking about. But I always leave it in. If they want to talk, they could talk. It doesn't. I could tune them out like I could tune out others. Yeah. All right. So I think I have 7 of the 13 crews represented here, maybe more. So crew chiefs confirm with athletic directors. Did everybody confirm with athletic directors this week?
Yes.
Did all athletic directors get back to you within 24 hours?
Yes. Yes.
All right. It was.
He might have replied back to 10.
Okay. Okay. So, but does Tim have a plan for you guys? Good. Referee, set the expectation. So, like my crew this week, we're going to go over 8-man rule differences. The first game, we're doing 8-man game, so we're going to go over those rule differences. The second game is 11-man. We're just going to go through the observation form. That's what our pregame is for week 1. We don't have game film, and our rules guy's not there, but do something. Minimum in locker room 60 miles prior. So I know both of our places that we're going, the field is off-site. So we don't have a locker room. So we're just coming half-dressed to the field. All right, you have to plan for that, referees, if you have not planned for that. All right, so I know it's not ideal, but I know Takema Herman, it's off-site. Walt Hill, again, it's a public park, off-site. So if you don't have that information, get that from your referee, because you don't want to change in the middle of the parking lot. Okay? It's not youth sports summer. All right? It's high school stuff. Come half-dressed if they don't have a locker room for you, or arrive earlier. They will have a locker room for you. You could arrive earlier. And then watch weekly training tape. So I sort of cued this. I hope the message has been sent out pretty clear. But each week, we're going to have a week. So like this is week 0 because last week was week 0. And we did a 6-man training tape that Jeff Kopetsky's crew worked. My goal is that there's quality film of one of our crews, so we keep on promoting our officials on these training tapes. If I can't find quality film, I will go elsewhere, but it'll be, again, I'm looking for a good film is what I'm looking for. If there's a specific play that you guys have that you think will be beneficial for everybody, send me the clip number, because then we're making these reels as well. All right, so if your crew did something awesome that other crews could see to help them get that type of play right, let's get it up there. If you've been watching these reels, it's been a lot of blindside blocks. I still think a lot of people in high school don't understand, like, a two-hand shove is legal. Like, I swear to goodness, people stop yelling block in the back. They're only yelling blindside block now. So every single blindside block I think we put up here are all legal. All right, because they look like collisions, but the players have learned how to make these collisions legal. So again, right now, this is just stuff we have found. But if there are plays that you guys got right, because I'm trying to find plays that we get right as officials to put them up here, especially the plays coaches yell at you and we got it right. Those are even the best ones to put up.
What's your threshold on out of the play? Legal blocks out of the play. Like that, we had a coach get very angry about a young man doing completely legal blocks.
Was
Not overly aggressive.
was
but
the
like 5 yards behind the play, maybe 10 yards off.
was the defender going as hard as they can to get to the ball carrier?
I would say there were a lot of kids chasing.
All right, that didn't answer the question. Because out of the play,
I don't know the athleticism.
Yeah.
of Little John.
So if it's out of the play and it's not necessary, don't just get in their way. I would have to see the play to judge, but there is no black and white, 5 yards, 7 yards, 10 yards. If ball carries at position 5, position 1, because they could always come back. It's how are those players participating in the play? Would be my
Do you
answer.
communicate before flagging if it's kind of out of the way?
So
It's not necessary?
if I see an unnecessary block coming, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I'm letting them know not to hit. And then when they don't do it, guess what you got to do? Hey, good job. Way to lay off. You could have hit them. You listened, you didn't hit them. Thank you. All right. So this is timeout with PSOA. I think for the first time I put it in the email. If you really hate dues and don't ever want to pay dues again, like, subscribe, watch the videos. If we have all PSOA members, just ourselves, subscribe and just watch the videos, there's not going to be any dues. It will pay for itself. All right, so you are investing your time, so you don't have to pay dues. So, and if you like it, truly like it, if you get 5 more people to do that, awesome. All right, so I know there's tons that I am learning, and I'm going to try to get even better. I'm studying other states and other things that people do. I know Zach has invested a lot of technology stuff to it, as we got 4 more wires here today. I hope it's enjoyable. I hope it's educational. If you think there's something that we could do better, let us know. Because the last thing I am going to put, we haven't figured this out, but if you're on your phone and you just go to your YouTube app and click PSOA, home, subscriptions, PSOA, you're going to get all the quizzes, all the reels, all the videos. It's super easy. But to get to the quizzes, you got to go to the community tab to get to the quiz questions. And I've been really lucky thus far. All of these quiz questions were questions actually asked to me. Like, somebody calls me for a rules question, boom, I get on YouTube, I type it out that way. Because if Zach asks me the question, I go back to my teacher mode, there's 10 other people that had the same question. So I'm just going to put it on there. I try to put it where you get the answer immediately and then the rule reference. So if you did the very first one, I apologize, we screwed it up. it's off, it's deleted, you won't ever see it again. All the other ones have been checked, double checked. And again, this is not only for sports officials. So I did do it 3 times in my game at Miller North, where a couple fans were saying a couple things, and one coach yelled something incorrectly, and I said, all right, you got to go to timeout with PSOA and get educated. And don't be sarcastic about it, but that's what it's there for. If we all use this as a community, we get yelled at less. More officials are going to want to officiate more games, and we won't have that school, team, site we don't want to go officiate at. So hopefully more positive experiences for everybody. So if you guys, let's see here, go back to the PowerPoint. So those are my PSOA. Take advantage of that, because the last thing I want is a call from a coach and then all of a sudden I was in the training tape the last week of, Sean, we watched your training tape last week and your crew did exactly opposite of what was in the video. Okay, so because I sent it out to all the 6-man ADs. After week 1, that's when I'm going to send it to all of our ADs and coaches that we service. Rob, go for it. Okay. Yeah, so a pop-up kick, the question is, what's the difference between, it'd be a squib kick or a pop-up kick? A squib kick, that ball is going straight out. Now, it could take 1, 2, and then pop up in the air. But they're kicking that ball usually upper half, but straight out. Where a pop-up kick, they're going straight down. So their foot, instead of going outwards, they are hammering it down into the ground. They can't. That was so.
But it's not hard. I mean, every one is down.
Yep. So if it goes directly down.
And you're saying 1 hop straight up. I think 2 hops is good. 1 hop straight up.
So here's the ball, right? That's good because my foot went straight.
One and goes straight up, that's a pop.
That's illegal. Yep. And pop-up kick in high school is automatic dead. Blow the whistles. Do not let those front 10, 5-5, do not let them hit. Well, that's the purpose of that rule. So come out of your shoes. Varsity opportunities. So this was as of today. And I tell you what, it was a juggle to get all games covered for Friday, but we got it done. So if you are not on a varsity crew, or there's a Friday that you are open and you want to be part of that crew, it's unpaid, but you want to learn what it is to be a Friday night light crew, get in touch with me. I'm going to try to find the closest game to where you live. You get in the game for free. God forbid somebody gets injured. If you are registered NSAA, you could jump on the field. All right, so that is just communication to me of what Friday you could be an alternate. These 22nd, 29th, 13th, and 20th, I have crews on the game. So don't be fearful on that. But I am looking for subs on crews because there is somebody on that crew that's not available that week. So if you have opening on the 22nd, 29th, 13th, or 20th, Google those sites so you know how far you're traveling. And then let me know if you are willing to travel there. And that CC is not community college. That's Central Catholic. All right, Guardian Angel Central Catholic. All right. Again, just email me or text me what Fridays you can be an alternate. And then if there's a varsity opening opened up, you could let me know. So like Walter, your crew lost the game on the 13th, 20th. I'm waiting to see if somebody wants to volunteer. I just didn't want to give it to somebody to go to Hampton. All right. All right. And then, Steve, your crew lost what date? 8th. And I think I got you on a game because it's near your place. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to get the other 4 a game. All right, so tell your crew, hang tight. It's hodgepodge. Boom, boom, boom. All right, we're not going to worry about that. There was one. Heat. We talked. Could you close those a little bit? We talked about this a little bit. Knock on wood. Is anyone working Thursday afternoon? Okay, so not Thursday. Sorry, Friday afternoon. Okay, be very, very cognizant. Water, 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 because it's not supposed to drop until Friday night. Now, the dew point's not supposed to be 81% that it was the last 2 days, today and tomorrow. But be very, very cognizant and overcautious on water, and yourself included. I know our crew's working 2 games on Friday. Drink a ton of water Thursday night. Wake up, drink more water. Make sure you pee at halftime. If you don't pee at halftime, you better start chugging water. Yes. Correct. Water first. Friday night, once the sun goes down, we should be good, but so many officials forget. We always get the players' water, get the players' water, get the players' water. And guess who we forget about? We forget about ourselves. So make sure you have water. Not only the players, make sure you have water. All right.
Sean, we can't
Sorry.
for called timeouts, we can't extend those over a minute. But official timeouts, so in between possessions, scores,
Yep.
and stuff, we can extend up to 2 minutes. Right?
So after a score, it could be 2 minutes. If somebody goes down with an injury, there's going to be cramps, guys. Just turn every cramp into a 2-minute water break. If for some reason you go a whole quarter, like 12 minutes, and it's 2 series and there's no break and you're 5 minutes, you could do an official's timeout for water. Now, if there's a score, an injury, you don't have to do an additional 2 minutes at that 6-minute mark. But if you go 12-6 or 6-man, 10-5 with no timeouts, boop, official's timeout, let's get water. Because, again, it's not sort of our control, but I always try to prevent as many cramps as I possibly can. And that's just remind water, 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 water. But officials, you got to start. All right, the last thing I did want to go over here, because there's a lot of questions, and I will say this. As a college official, I understand the anxiety. I truly, truly understand the anxiety. But there was tons of anxiety when the play clock went from 25 all the time to the 40-25. We're like, what about substitution rules? What about them matching up? And that? And then all of a sudden the year went, there was absolutely nothing. Okay, I'm not going to say there's not absolutely nothing with this penalty enforcement, but with this cheat sheet / what's up on the board right now, is there any play, any anxiety of, Sean, if this foul happens, what do we do?
We'll go over intentional grounding.
All right, so intentional grounding is an exception. All right, so the intentional grounding penalty, you ignore this. It is 5 yards from the spot of the intentional grounding, loss of down. All right, so I have a play on the training tape of an intentional grounding. Referees, another tip, wherever you think they threw it from, move your flags 2 yards forward. It is amazing on how perfect it comes out. Amazing. All right, so intentional grounding, even though it's a foul by Team A and it's behind the line of scrimmage, we are still enforcing intentional grounding from the spot in which they threw the ball. It's a referee tip. Because it's a spot foul, just move your flag up 2 yards. Watch the training tape, you'll learn all about it. Then another exception is illegal kicking, and then a safety, a batting. So batting, kicking, and then safety. So if they hold in the end zone, it's behind the previous spot, but the penalty enforcement results as a safety. Illegal participation will be from the line of scrimmage. So they'll have it depends on which team does it, but yep. Correct. So the question is, the statement is, all the exceptions you could consider non-contact fouls. Batting, kicking, grounding, the safety. I mean, you're holding somebody, you're blocking somebody below the waist in the end zone. But I really don't see this coming up too often. I mean, you have, again, the face mask on a sack, go to the previous spot. You have the holding by the offense behind the line of scrimmage, you go to the basic spot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or the end of the related run. Yep. Yep.
Well, there's one thing is behind the line.
Yep.
Except for the exception.
Yep.
The risk of snapping. What's the biggest change? Like, what kind of play or foul enforcement?
So.
Yeah, just the offensive field, right? It goes from the
18 yards.
Yeah.
But other than that, most of the other ones should
Yep.
drive out to about the same.
So the reason they put this foul in place is because you're not over penalizing the offense. That's what it comes down to.
That's what I was thinking.
Yep. All right.
And that coach might want it first, second and 10, or first and 20.
Boom. All right.
Yeah, so you don't have offensive holding on a run that goes 15 yards and you're bringing back 25 yards.
Right.
All right. So now I am going to open it up. Questions when it comes to varsity, football, games, mechanics, signals that was not covered, or your crew has questions on it. Going once, going twice.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about on the evaluation form. We're talking about the spots to be at, and they clarified that is only for if you're not doing anything. So for us getting snaps or going around doing all of our pregame activities, not only is that
I'm glad you said that.
That's encouraged, correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, more and more we get out there, we meet the coaches, they're already taking snaps. By the time we're done with the coaches, the teams are usually going in the locker room. So we do the coin toss. The actual captains are staying out there so they could do the coin toss. So now, if the teams go, we go. We're not standing at parade's rest 40-40, 40-50-40. We're off the field. If the teams are still out there, we're walking the field after the coin toss. We're talking to the chain crew. We're talking to ball personnel. I'm finding at least one athletic trainer, talking to that athletic trainer. There's usually no time really left. This first week, I know I'm going to try to get out there early, introduce myself to the quarterbacks. I want to know if they're throwing righty. I want to know if they're throwing lefty. I think Randolph was the only team that played that we're going to see this weekend. So Pre-game, you should always be doing something when the teams are out there. There's just so much communication to go, or take snaps. Oh, that's not good. Yeah. Always take snaps if they're out there doing snaps. But yeah, you do not have to remain out there parade rest. Stay active, stay engaged if the teams are out there, though. I'm excited. Is everybody else excited? I'm excited for one more hot day and get to football weather. This weekend's looking nice.
Anybody else work outside?
So, all right, we are going to end the YouTube video. Hopefully everybody, before you go to bed today, likes it, subscribes it, and keeps